What's up everyone, I'm Gushi and welcome to the channel. In this video we're talking about the Warlord in the Evil Dead, and specifically the best way to play Warlord to easily win all your demon games. I've been pretty consistently getting 5-minute wins, and this is mostly due to the playstyle and a couple of perks in the skill tree which we'll be going over. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, going into the skill tree, I'm not going to go over every single skill. I'm only going to go over the most important ones. But if you want to try out this build, definitely just copy the perks that I have. Honestly, there's only 2 skills that you really need and makes this build possible. And you could get it at level 3. So the first one is right over here called Too Grossed Out to Run. Survivors hit by the Deadites Puke are temporarily unable to sprint. And the one right below, Too Grossed Out to Dodge. Survivors hit by the Deadites Puke are temporarily unable to dodge. The Deadites Puke is easily the most powerful tool for the Warlord, partially with these 2 perks and because it has an awesome crowd control effect. Once survivors are hit by the puke, they are stunned for a couple seconds, making it a really good tool when you're getting swarmed, or for knocking survivors out of their finisher animations, which makes them invincible, again reinforcing that this skill is pretty damn strong. Okay, going back to the skill tree, the next skill that you absolutely want to pick up is the Lingering Gas, which increases the duration of gas leak, and Potent Gas, which increases the damage inflicted by the gas leak. To be honest, Henrietta is probably the worst boss out of all the demons. She has a large hitbox, she's really slow, and most of her abilities leave her wide open to take a ton of damage from the survivors. Her best ability is the gas leak, and is your only tool as the boss to not get swarmed by the survivors and to spread them out. The more you can spread them out, the easier it is to target a single person and take them out real quickly. Once you max out the Warlord, definitely take the skills that give you more damage with your basic, elite, and your boss units, as well as taking Rocksteady over here, which will give you more resistance to your balance bar damage. Those are the ones that I found most important, so definitely take other skills if you find them more important. Alright, next let's go over the must know combo, which will give you the most amount of damage and let you easily 1v1 survivors if you don't get outnumbered by the other survivors. And so what I do is always go for light attacks first. With the basic unit, you can do 4 basic attacks, which then kicks you into a cooldown animation which has you standing around. However, we can cancel this cooldown with our puke ability. And so the reason why I go for light attacks first is to bait out some dodges, so that when you do cancel your animation to puke, the enemies are a little bit closer, have lower stamina, and is more likely to land. Just like the light attacks, your puke ability does have a cooldown, but again, you could cancel this with a dodge. So again, just do light attacks until you think the survivor has low stamina, then cancel it with your puke ability. Once you get that first hit with the puke, you can immediately cancel it with your dodge, knowing that the survivor cannot dodge or sprint now. From there, I usually like to go for heavy attacks, mostly because they do more damage, and you don't have to worry about that long startup animation because the survivors can't dodge out of it. Now keep in mind, this is something that the developers might take out of the game. They already took out some animation cancels for survivors, but seeing that there's animation cancels for both Necromancer and Puppeteer, I really don't see the developers taking out all the animation cancels in the game. If anything, I think the puke to dodge cancel is definitely the strongest and has the highest probability of being taken out, so I'd say use it while you can. Now one thing that I really don't see other people talking about is paying attention if your Deadite spawns with a weapon. Each Deadite has a chance for them to spawn with an axe, which drastically increases your DPS, but in the chance that you do not spawn with an axe, you can use your other ability to tear off your left arm and use that as a weapon. You definitely want to be in a safe place before doing this, but if you don't have an axe, this is a way better option than just swinging with your hands. In this clip, this is very early on into the game, so nothing is upgraded, and as I pop my ability, tear off my arm, and do a heavy attack, I could do a total of 248 damage. This is actually a ton of damage without any upgrades. So early on into the game, this is pretty much all you need to do. Find the survivors as quick as possible, and just do this combo to get easy downs. Next thing I want to go over is how you should be allocating your points. I tried out a bunch of different ways to play the Warlord, and I found that the most important areas to invest your points is first maxing out your basic units, then focusing on possession. Later on when you get to level 10 you can focus more points into boss, but definitely possession and basic are your most important. The reason why getting your portal basic all the way up to level 5 is not for the cooldown, cost reduction, or unit damage or health, but the additional unit spawn, and all units spawn with an axe. Again, I want to emphasize that if you have an axe spawned with you, you do a significant amount of damage. Anytime you possess a unit, you want to make sure they have an axe. Next, we want to level possession. Just like Portal Basic, this will also increase the unit's health and damage all the way up to 40%. Again, more damage means faster downs. Alright, lastly, I want to go over how to play Henrietta. Again, I want to mention that Henrietta is probably one of the weakest bosses, so just wanted to go over some tips and tricks on how to play her just a little bit better. In most cases, your biggest stand with the boss unit should be at the dagger or the pages. I think it's pretty important to spawn other units, which can take some attention or do some chip damage, so you can spread out the survivors just a little bit. Also, if you have basic units which are controlled by AI, they can also possibly puke on the survivors, making them not able to dodge or sprint, which helps Henrietta a lot to land her attacks. So here at the pages, I actually start off with a basic unit just to get some chaos, get their health low, and fortunately I'm able to down one person. Once I get this scare off, again I first spawn some basic units just to have a swarm and take the attention off of me before I summon Henrietta. Now once Henrietta is spawned, the first thing you should absolutely be doing is your gas leak. Your gas leak lasts a crazy amount of time at 15 seconds. So what you really want to be doing is spreading the gas around to the most amount of area as possible. This kind of obscures their vision, but more importantly spreads out the survivors, as they don't want to be standing in the gas as they'll take damage over time. In this case it was perfect, as I could just spread the gas around the bleeding survivor, so they couldn't get a free revive. From here, what you really want to be doing is going for your heavy attacks. Because Henrietta is pretty slow, your heavy attacks aren't that much slower than your light attacks. So getting more damage in with your attacks, I found is really useful. Now the one case that you want to be using light attacks is if the survivors are avoiding your attacks with all their dodges. I find that the light attacks are easier to bait out the dodges, so in some cases you can do 2 light attacks just to bait out some dodges, then go for those heavy attacks when you think that they run out of stamina. Even though I said that Henrietta is probably one of the weakest bosses, she still hits like an absolute truck. And you can really tell once you land those heavy attacks, the survivor's health chunks down real quick. For the most part, if all the survivors are alive, these are the only attacks that you should be going for. Her body slam animation is extremely long, so you should never use this. And her granny hug, which is her grab attack, should only be used if there's only one survivor alive. One good thing about the granny hug is that if you combo this with the gas leak, you can do a significant amount of damage, both getting ticks from the gas and your granny hug. But with that, that's all the tips I have for you guys to help you guys win games with the Warlord. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Are you guys playing Warlord? Or does this convince you to play the Warlord? With that, thank you guys for watching and hope to catch you in the next one. Peace.